Real news. Welcome back, everyone, to the Tori Says Show. I'm your host, Tori. Remember, you can always follow me on Gab and Twitter at Tori_says. I want to thank everyone for the immense amount of messages that I've received. A lot of you have realized what is really going on with this Assange deal. But as promised, we will be deconstructing this border crisis to call it what it is, to show the illegal crossings, to show problems that not only the United States is facing, but also Mexico, because we have to keep in mind that Mexico's president is really trying to control this. He is. But corruption exists in every single nation, as we all know, and it is very difficult sometimes to just carve it out. It's kind of like weeds. If you don't pull it from the root, it's just going to come back somewhere else. So, in this hour, and we're going to have a bonus hour, and like I said, it's not going to be streamed on your radio waves globally. And I did get some people from New Zealand asking me how they can listen to it. I've just tweeted out a Facebook Live link where you can actually watch the gorgeous Cindy Gomez-Shemp, where she is airing this, and she will be playing videos. But I, as I said, promise that the minute the show is over, I will render that audio, and within the hour, I will have it up a full 3 hours for all of you to listen, from Assange through breaking down the border and shaming Merkley for his obsession with children. Without a further ado, I just wanted to tell you that I have Cindy Gomez-Shemp with me right now, and with her joins us an incredible and brave person on the Mexican side, where he is reporting daily. Because remember, the crisis is not just for us in the United States; it is for the Mexican people too. They're fighting just as well as we are, and you just have to wonder who's really driving this. So, Cindy, welcome to the Tori Says Show. Thank you so much for coming on. I have to have you on a lot more, with all these developments going on at the border. And we have Oscar as well. So, Cindy, tell my audience where they can find you. I mean, some of them have already found you on ToriSays.com with that excellent expose that you put together. And then I'd like Oscar to introduce himself to my listeners as well as yours, and explain, what he's been doing, where they can find him. So go ahead, Cindy. Welcome.
Thank you very much for having me. Thank you for having both of us. I really, I want to give the floor to Oscar right away because I know he's going to have to scoot. So I'm going to let him go first. But I'm going to tell people you can find us at media_PPP on Twitter. You can find us on 88.1 FM, Fargo Moorhead on Facebook. And you can go to kpppfm.com and find all of our past shows there. You can also find the work that I've done with Tori on ToriSays.com. Anyway, I want to give the floor to Oscar. Thank you for being able to do this with us. Oscar, I know you've been so busy this morning, but maybe fill us in on what you were doing today, and give Tori and me, too, an update on what's been going on with these unaccompanied minors going to the human rights building to make a complaint, a criminal complaint against this coyote.
Yes. First of all, I want to say thank you to Tori. Thank you to our audience, and hello to everyone in America. Thank you so much. You can follow me at my Facebook page as public figure Oscar Blue, also on Instagram as Oscar Blue, and YouTube as Oscar L Blue. Too. Hi to everybody, Cindy. Hi to everybody, Tori. Thank you so much for having me on your show. And yes, regarding this unaccompanied minors. There's a man that is wanted for their arrest. His name is Nicolas Esteman. He's from Guatemala. This guy was the security guy at a shelter that is called Agape Shelter. It was the pastor Alberto. He's the one in charge. And this guy practically he backstabbed the pastor, and he was trafficking minors, and he was trafficking people to the United States. What he did was he trafficked three minors. Two of them they're already in the United States, and apparently for now it's really hard and difficult to get a warrant for the arrest of this guy over here in Tijuana. La Procuraduría General de la Justicia, that is a dependency of the government over here of justice. They say that it was not enough proof for him to get arrested, although the pastor took six people to testify against them. So he took another route and he went to the humanitarian human rights for the state over here in Tijuana. He went over there. He took three minors, and the declarations for one of them was outrageous. She opened up and she said about Nicolas Esteban that this guy has been pursuing her for the past 3 months. And one of the things that she said was that not only he was trafficking minors, not only that, he was collided with some organizations from America to work to collide with trafficking minors. But not only that too, this guy has been telling this minors that they are not going to pay 1 cent if they interact with him sexually.
Ugh.
So this is
Oh
disgusting. This is
God.
so disgusting. So this guy is not only wanted over here for trafficking, kidnapping, he's wanted now for trying to have sex with a minor and offering himself to not only one minor, to every minor. And this particular individual has his wife is in the United States. So the rumor is after sorry for the noise there. After he was everybody confronted him, the rumor was that this his number one option is to cross illegally to the United States. So there's a possibility, a strong possibility that this particular individual is 90 to 100% already in the United States. So you have this kind of individuals and this kind of people are the ones that we're having over here in our city. There's no security. There's no filters for inspection. The shelters are full. Everything is full. You have families crossing, not caring about their children. You have children they're unaccompanied by. The number that it was outrageous for the month of February, 7,946 unaccompanied children that we know of. And the pastor had 17 children they're unaccompanied by. And their ideology is to cross to the United States whether they have or they don't have a parent. They don't care. So they are willing to sell themselves, a lot of them, and a lot of them they are being offered to have, sexual encounters with these coyotes.
Oscar, can I just ask a question? We're referring to the Guatemalan gentleman, right? The
Yes.
Guatemalan coyote, and I'm pulling up his name. It is Sebastian Nicholas Esteban, right? We have his ID,
Hmm.
and we do have videos where Border News Network has confronted him for these missing children. Now, I have sent all this information to ICE as well, because his wife is and I know that you're in Mexico, and our connection is a little bit low on your end, Oscar. I just want to reiterate to people that these are children being trafficked, and what he does is kind of like how drug addicts will sell their body for drugs. He is having sexual encounters, or telling children to have sexual encounters with him so that he can cross them on the border. So it is assumed that now he's already in the United States. We can all thank Senator Jeff Merkley and Representative Correa for that. And go ahead, Oscar. Please explain to the audience more in regards to this coyote and how this coyote is actually working with American taxpayer funded organizations.
Yes, actually, I did this, interview with Cindy at her show not too long ago, and I confronted some lawyers right here. There's a part, this the pedestrian entrance to the United States that is called El Chaparral. This place is where the asylum seekers seek their number to claim the asylum. There's a tent for the protection of migrants, the organization over here in America. They're the ones that give the number for the asylum seekers. So you can imagine that the government of Mexico is the one that is taking care of this, but it's not. There's organizations from lawyers from America coming over here and taking care of the whole situation of this asylum seekers. They're coaching them, they're telling them how to claim the asylum and how to break the loophole so they can cross illegally to the United States. I confronted one of them, and there's a video actually that she admits that They were making fake marriages. I confronted her. I told her, "You're from this organization. You're from America. You can't prevent me," because she asked me to stop recording. I told her, "I'm a Mexican citizen. You can't prevent me from stop recording because I have the right. Second of all, you're an American. What are you doing over here? I'm from the El Otro Lado. El Otro Lado is an organization from lawyers from San Diego." So I told her, "You're doing bad things over here. You guys, I have proof that you guys were making fake marriages." And she said it was not a fake marriage, it was a celebration, and we stopped doing that. Imagine that. They stopped doing that. So imagine how many fake marriages and how many children they've been trafficking. There's a lot of children over here that they're unaccompanied by. They don't have no DNA testing. They don't have no DNA testing on the entrance of Guatemala. They don't have no DNA testing over here. And they don't have DNA testing in the United States. These people are selling the children. These people are trafficking children. And it's all about these organizations that they're coming here to my country. There's organizations of radicals, there's organizations of activists, there's like this Antifas, there's BAMs, there's Rapid Response, there's Caravan Support Networks. All of these people, they're coming over here and they're feeding the migrants to cross illegally, and they're instigating them how to cross illegally to the United States. Not only they're betraying their country, but they're committing a federal crime, and they're not even being prosecuted. Why? Because our government is tied. They have their hands tied. This treaty with this international pact of immigration from the United Nations is the one that has our hands tied. Why? Because it overrules our Constitution on the Article 30 that explains that no foreigner can come over here and practice law, but they're violating the Constitution, and they are pursuing and doing that on a daily basis, Tori.
Go ahead. Well, what? Al otro lado, they were actually denied entry. Correct me if I'm wrong, Cindy. When one of them, their director of legal, came to Mexico, and she said she was there for pleasure when she was for work, and they denied her entry into Mexico, right?
Well, let me just clear up how this whole thing happened, okay? The Al Otro Lado lawyers, there's three main founders of the organization, which is Erica Pinheiro, Nora Phillips, and then you have the refugee program, the asylum-seeking refugee program person, Nicole Ramos. Now, Nicole Ramos had her Sentry Pass revoked. So that's only done by Border Patrol, and that means that the fast pass that she had that allowed her to go into Mexico and back to the United States very quickly is no longer available to her. Erica Pinheiro was stopped at the Mexican border and said, "You can't come in." And Nora Phillips, she flew into Guadalajara. She was going to meet a caravan there to give them legal advice, but she lied to Customs and Border Patrol and said she was on vacation. So she was stopped. She was, flagged. And then they questioned her. I believe it was like 9 hours, separated her from her husband and her child. She was very upset about it. There was a lot of tears when she came back to the U.S. And after they interrogated her, they deported her to the United States. So she has been literally kicked out of the country. That was because she lied about what she was doing in Mexico. And I was told by Pastor Albert Rivera, because he's very aware of how these folks operate, that she and the lawyers from Al Otro Lado go and meet the caravans where they are within Mexico, and they tell them, they coach them, hey, if you go to Tijuana, you're going to have free legal because we're right there on the other side in San Diego, and I'll be your lawyer. We'll be your lawyers. So if you want to have free legal advice, if you want to have a free lawyer, come to Tijuana. And Oscar can probably explain this better, but his city is overrun with these folks because the lawyers are luring them there. There's a reason why everyone is going to Tijuana, and it is because these people are telling them this is the place to go because you'll have us on the other side of the border, and there's all of these services ready and waiting for you. And of course, this has had a horrible effect on Tijuana, the city.
Well, I wanted to
Yes.
say, just a reminder to all the listeners, that Oscar is actually in Mexico.
Right.
So hence the connection a little bit distance, etc. So he is reporting boots on the ground. And with the information that I've been receiving, not only from you, Cindy, but sources that I have there is literally a Mexican organization that is being funded by El Otro Lado to recruit children and petition on their behalf at the border to enter the United States. Now, this came as a surprise to me because I know that the president of Mexico has been pushing to verify history, to, I guess, vet every single illegal migrant that is in Mexico. And I wanted Oscar from that side of Mexico to kind of explain to everyone how the president has been actively trying to do this, but there are facets within his immigration department that are so corrupt that they're teaming up with companies like Al Otro Lado that are having, what is it, Southwest Key. There's an organization on the other side of the border that actually takes in all these children. So, Oscar, can you tell us from a Mexican perspective on that side, in Mexico, not because you're Mexican, but because you're in Mexico, how you see the corrupt facets of the government, which is everywhere globally? We have corrupt government. Okay, there's no shame in that. But how they're actually orchestrating and working together with these democratically funded programs. And this is, just for a heads up, guys, this is why the president of the United States stopped sending U.S. aid from the State Department to these countries that are creating the caravans, because it was determined that federal taxpayer money was being used to create these organizations. So, Oscar, please let everyone know about this. And just a note, I will not be running commercials throughout this hour because we need to listen to what Oscar says from Border News Network.
Yes, there's a big problem here, and the big problem is that there's the corruption comes with all the coyotes and the cartels. I'll be honest with you, and I'll be real open about how the situation is over here. You get these organizations that they go all the way to the south, and they go all the way to Guatemala, and they cross to Guatemala, and they tell them, do you want to cross to the United States? And they say yes. Okay, cross me this bag. What is in that bag? You can imagine that it's drugs. You can imagine that it's something else, but it's amounts of drugs that they're crossing, and you get amounts of people that they're crossing these drugs every day because they don't get searched. They have the free pass. They have the open borders. So these organizations that they're working all the way from the north to the south, they have all this orchestrated. And it's politically orchestrated. Why? Because every state that they're going through is from the same political party that is right now running, and they want open borders. That is Morena. They don't go to other states. They go to the same states because all of those states in our country are run by this political party specifically. What do they do when they get over here? They get their free pass. They're approached by these organizations from America, and the ones that they're crossing them are them. The coyotes and all these Pueblos Sin Fronteras, Ángeles Sin Fronteras, and all these organizations, they're bought by the government. They're playing around with the government. They're playing hand in hand with the government. And there's a lot of money. Olga Sanchez Cordero, that is the one that is in charge of immigration in our country, was the guilty one last year to say, come in. We have jobs for everyone. Come in. 3 weeks ago, she gave a statement saying, we need to stop this because this is a billion business. She just realized, and I know because I live in Mexico, she just realized that it's a lot of business and she's not getting money. So immediately she gave the idea to stop this. Why? Because there's a lot of trafficking in children, trafficking in organs, trafficking of people, drugs, money, guns, everything that you can think of is coming through that border. Now, when they get over here, you don't imagine, when I first started going to the shelters, I was like, oh my God, there's a lot of Americans helping these people. Oh wow, that's good. They're helping them to get their feet going and to get something going for themselves, but they were not. They were instigating them and telling them how to cross illegally to the United States and how the children are taken to a certain particular hotels. This is another problem. Then when they get here, these organizations, they go to where the caravan is and they say to them, are you going to go to the shelter? Yes, you're going to suffer a lot. Why do you go over there? Let me rent you a room. So actually, we don't know what is the appropriate number of kids that they're unaccompanied by. Why? Because these organizations, they're renting them rooms to live in. And we don't know how many kids they're arriving because they are interrupted on their way up to the north. It's a full corruption with the government, and right now they're stopping them. The rumor is right now that because of Donald J. Trump, president of the United States, threatened to close the border, our president has started deporting. As of 2 days ago, he started deporting, and the amount is between 200 and 300 immigrants that they started deporting now. And that is why there's been a little bit of riots over there with Africans and Asians. And, there was a leader that just got caught that is from Cuba. His name is Mikel Hernandez. And he's a doctor and neurologist doctor. And he got stopped because he was one of the leaders. So, they're not giving humanitarian visas right now. They're not giving transit of visas. They're not giving nothing. Why? Because of Donald J. Trump. Why? Because they're breaking all the loopholes, Tori. All the loopholes. The number one loophole that they're breaking is if they we see this all day over here. It's so ridiculous. Right here where I was at right now, a few moments ago, I was trying to confront this lawyer again. What is she doing over there in the Chaparral, where there's a lot of kids seeking asylum? It looks like a human auction. It looks like a human auction. This guy is yelling last names, and the Americans are like, it's mine, it's mine, it's mine, it's my turn, it's my turn. It's like that. It's basically like that. They don't have no control
Oscar,
of
I just want
people.
to reiterate something to my listeners because, like I said, the connection is hard. On podcasts, it'll be heard a lot better. Trust me, guys, when I render it. But what he's saying is that the president of the United States threatened to shut down the border, and everyone was like, "Why isn't he doing it? He should have done it already. We need to stop this now. Why is he telling the Mexican president he's giving him time? Because this Mexican president is actually trying to fix it. He has a hot mess inherited from the previous president of Mexico, which we all know now was paid. Everybody has a price, right? $100 million from El Chapo. And like Oscar is telling you, this is where they're auctioning them off. This is disgusting. It's not just sex trafficking. This child and human trafficking doesn't have just for sex slavery or just slaves in general, as we've seen of reports of Hondurans being used as slaves in Chicago, if you remember the report from 2 weeks ago, but organ trafficking. And it goes both ways, that they bring them from the United States, but the majority are coming in now with these caravans. So this is a real problem. This is a border crisis. And we all have to appreciate that the president is doing it in the best way he can without showing that he has no confidence in the president of Mexico. Because if he doesn't show that he has confidence for the president of Mexico, Mexico will be tits up in actually from 0 to 100 the minute something like this happens. So
Tori,
continue. Sorry, Oscar. I just wanted to reiterate that.
I just wanted to jump in really quick and say that one of the things that Oscar has really educated me about was on the United Nations Pact that was signed by Marcelo Ebrard, and people keep blaming Trump for the creation of these caravans and saying that, okay, well, this is basically Trump's problem, and Mexico's not going to do the dirty work. But Oscar educated me about Marcelo Ebrard and his signature on this pact and who his wife is. Oscar, you want to jump in and explain this to the American public?
Yes, in 2015, the worst president that ever existed in our country, Peña Nieto, the last president, he signed this international pact of immigration. He was collided with Obama because Obama wanted to sign it too at first. So they were working together. The only one that signed it pre-signed it was Peña Nieto and Marcelo Ebrard. That it was at the time, he's still in charge, but it's at the time that this president, he was the one in charge of international relations for Mexico. He signed the International Pact of Immigration. What does this tell you? That is open borders. Now,
Mm-hmm.
the new president came in, and on December 11th, he's still the person in charge of international relations. So he signed it on December 11th, the pact in Marrakech, in Morocco. He signed it. So what does that tell you? That it's going to be open borders, open border, and they have rules in that international pact. They have to come in an orderly fashion, documented, peacefully, and with a purpose. That it tells you right there, but it just withdraws all the rights that Mexicans have because we need to treat them equal. We can't insult them. We can't treat them bad. And if the media treats them bad, we can be prosecuted. They have the same rights. We need to give them medical, education, food, clothing, and comfort them until a point if they're okay to migrate where they're going, that is where our job is finished. So this international pact of immigration is violating their own pact because they're not coming documented. They're not coming peacefully. We already know that they are damaging my sovereignty of my country. They're not coming in with a purpose. The purpose is to violate the law of the and cross illegally to the United States. They don't want to stay in Mexico. They already told us that. They're really disrespectful. A lot of them, they're really disrespectful, and they're activists. A lot of them, they're terrorists. A lot of them, they are ex-convicts. So all these things come to one thing that is really weird. Marcelo Ebrard's wife, it's from Honduras. This is a thing
Mm-hmm.
that is really weird, and it's a rumor that is going real strong with a source that I got in Chiapas. Marcelo Ebrard's wife, that is the guy that is in charge of the international relations of Mexico, she's from Honduras. They trying to take out Honduras, trying to take out Juan Orlando Hernandez. That is the president or the dictator from Honduras. Guess who is going to be the next president for the next elections? Marcelo Ebrard's wife. She's going to run for president for Honduras. So it looks disgustingly orchestrated. It looks disgustingly orchestrated. It looks like, okay, we already dominated Mexico. We got Mexico. Now we need to dominate Honduras. Okay, honey, go over there and be the president. It looks like that. It basically looks like that. And that will open more the borders. Marcelo Ebrard, a couple of weeks ago, gave a statement to all Mexico, and he said, we are going to continue with this migrant open border caravan. It's not going to stop. They're going to have the same rights as Mexicans, the same education as our kids and Mexicans. And this is the thing, Tori. We got 60 million in poverty over here in our country, 28 million in critical condition. It is ridiculous the statement that these immigrants are using to asylum. I will tell you why. Tijuana, my city, is the number one in the world in violence and delinquency. You got four cities on the top five in the world that they are in Mexico for violence and delinquency. You got five cities on the top 10 for violence and delinquency and stats in the world. And the number one country that is in the world that has more cities on the top 50, it's Mexico with 15. Guess where San Pedro Sula, Honduras is at? They are at number 24. What
Wow.
does that make me then? Where is my insecurity? Where is my I'm afraid? You don't see me claiming asylum. This is orchestrated. It's a mafia that is working from all the way to the south, all the way to the north. And it's orchestrated. They have allies, and these allies are these organizations, these lawyers that they're making fake marriages, fake families, and they're coming over here and they're coaching them to disrupt the United States, to invade the United States, to invade our sovereignty. That is all to it. There's nothing else. They're violating their own pact. That is the International Pact of Immigration. That has 23 points. Those 23 points are in favor, the 23 points that they are in favor of immigrants, they have even more rights than Mexicans. And the only 4 points that they need to comply with, they're violating them, coming in orderly, documented, peacefully, and with a purpose. They're not doing that. You have seen that on TV, how they have thrown rocks. They have killed 4 federal agents. They have been raping our women, stealing our children, shoplifting, killing innocent people on the way up here. They are now involved in drug cartels, kidnappings, and trafficking of people. As you see, this Guatemala individual, they're all disrupted. This is a mafia. It's a mafia, and it is what it is, Tori.
Yeah, I did notice that Canada just issued something just a couple of days ago where people that come to the Canadian border from the United States that are illegals are now being denied asylum to Canada. So Canada has literally shut down their asylum to illegals coming through the United States that have come from countries like Honduras and Guatemala and Mexico. So
Meanwhile, our California judge has decided that they're
they have the
going.
right to stay.
They, can you please
I
talk to somebody at this administration and let them know about the Canada situation? Because I don't know. I mean, you sound calm, but if you've been listening to Oscar, the situation in Mexico is red hot. I mean, uh, we can't, Mexicans cannot wait any longer for something to change, for this situation to stop. They are literally bleeding out. And it doesn't seem like the president of Mexico has got the memo. Oscar, are you there?
Well, no, I wanted to say something on this.
Sure.
I can't even imagine living in Mexico right now with all these caravans coming, with all these people that are not really being vetted properly as the president of Mexico wants them to. How do you let your kid ride their bicycle outside? How do you not, stand with your child to walk them to school, not allow them to play outside? But, it doesn't matter because these people are thugs. These people will take you along with your child. Could you imagine living in Mexico right now where you're overrun with people that their goal, because they've been paid to, is to be going to the northern border of Mexico, our southern border, and penetrate it. So as they go, they just leave destruction in their path. Like, I sympathize for the Mexicans. They must be feeling terror, especially the people that live in Tijuana. Like, how do you live there without being in fear? These people come with guns. They're coyotes. They're part of cartels. And I'm not calm. I am freaking out, but I have trust that he's doing something because I'm seeing that a lot of indictments are being unsealed with police officers in Southern California being charged with conspiring with organized crime rings, these human traffic, because everyone, when they think cartel, they just think drugs. Drugs, pharmaceuticals, and generally globally is the top industry. The second one is human trafficking.
Mm-hmm.
So they go hand in hand. I'm seeing that there's a crackdown on law enforcement and people in office that are working with organized crime units, especially the human trafficking units. There are so many sealed indictments right now across the